Hi, boys, good Commanders fans. I've just been recently thinking about what do I feel like would be the best case scenario for the Commanders in 2023. And I just feel like we need to find our guy at quarterback. And I prefer it be Sam Howell because, simply put, he's already on the roster. We don't have to try to tank for draft position. We don't have to do any of that draft position, tanking kind of stuff, right? And we already know we have our guy in-house, right? And we just built the roster around him. But I also feel like I don't want us to be so good this season that, well, we need to make sure Ron Rivera and all of his cronies are back. Because you know how I feel about Rivera. I want that whole staff gone. If Bieniemy is head coach, fine. But even with Bieniemy, he's unproven, right? I mean, he could turn out that, he wasn't really the mastermind in Kansas City with all Andy Reid. But we need to find our quarterback. I prefer it be Sam. But I also feel like we need a reset, the whole front office. And with new ownership, it's going to be a lot easier to do that because Dan Snyder was not, in a normal situation, Ron would have been fired at the end of last year. After his comments after the Browns game, I didn't know we could be limited, fire his ass. Okay? But a normal organization would have done that. But since Washington was not a normal organization because Dan Snyder was still there and was going through this, selling the team process, didn't happen. So the minute that we start 2-4, 2-5, you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen. Every year since Rivera's been here, we've started 2-4, 3-5, 1-4, 1-5. I don't think this is gonna be an outlier season. Look at our schedule. Cardinals, that's a dub. We're not losing to them. We could lose the next 3 games. Broncos, Bills, Eagles. This could easily be 3 losses. Or 1-3. And I don't know who we play in week 5, but I think it's the Bears. We could lose to the Bears. I don't know. Fire on. No excuses. Just you can't start 4 seasons in a row with this poor of a record through the first 5 weeks of the season. So get rid of him. Let Sam prove himself. Okay, get a real GM. Get the GM to pick the coach. Okay, because at the end of the day, that's how most teams do it. And I just feel like Washington needs to be like most teams because again, we are not a normal organization. Okay, let's just try to be a normal, functioning NFL franchise. Hire a GM. Let him pick the coach. Let him pick a staff. We go from there. Okay. Clearly, Rivera has ignored, in my opinion, 2 of the most important positions in football are quarterback and the guy protecting his blind side. And you could say, well, then that's left tackle. But you could say the whole offensive line. You could extend that to the whole offensive line, right? He has ignored those positions in the span of 4 years he's been here. 2020, 21, 21, 2022, 2023. To me, that's a fireable offense. I mean, and it's not even the draft. I mean, okay, should we have spent more draft capital on quarterback and offensive line? Heck yes. It's the free agency. Okay, the free agent signings have been freaking terrible. And that's all the way back to it was really 2021. William Jackson didn't work out. That's on Ron. Okay? That was terrible. A terrible signing. One of the worst in recent memory for, a high-priced free agent, okay? 2022, Carson Wentz. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Gave up draft capital and a bunch of money. Okay. I think if we had more cap space, we would have re-signed Landon Collins, and our defense would have been that much better last year. We would have been elite. Okay. What has he done besides signing former Carolina guys? Seriously. Okay. Get rid of him. Just. I'm sorry, Ron. He's done his job. He's changed the culture. He has, he has been here when Dan Snyder, exited this team. That's his legacy. He was the last coach of the Dan Snyder era, and he was there when his organization changed. He was valuable. Yes, okay, great. He needs to go. Okay? But I think if we know Sam's the guy and have another coaching staff come in and still believe in Sam, because they're going to inherit Sam. But I want him to be so good that there's no doubt. Okay? The next coaching staff's going to be like, yes, Sam's the guy. Even though we didn't draft him, he's our guy. I want him to be that good. Okay? So there you have it. That's, in my opinion, the best case scenario for this team at the end of the season. So when we get closer to training camp, we'll see what I have to say. Dan Snyder sells his team in about 4 days from now, so pumped for that.